In a world driven by instant communication, the ringing of a phone or the flashing of a screen often feels like an urgent call to action or a window into someone's world. Yet sometimes those notifications go unanswered, and what appears to be neglect or indifference can hide a story far more complex than a simple missed message. This is the story of one such neglected call, a video call that was ignored, lost in the chaos of everyday life, and yet ultimately revealing something astonishing. It begins with a family whose lives are deeply intertwined, yet whose perceptions of success, failure, and worth are about to be challenged in ways they never imagined. The moment when they realize that a supposed failure was, in fact, the key to unimaginable wealth is ultimately a reflection of the illusions we cling to and the surprises lurking beneath the surface of conventional judgments. For many, family is the anchor that grounds them in reality, a source of comfort and stability. But it can also be a source of tension, expectations, and unspoken assumptions. Among those assumptions is the idea that failure is something to be feared, hidden, or simply ignored. It's an idea reinforced by societal standards that equate success with material wealth, social standing, and outward appearances. When a young person in the family, seemingly struggling or not meeting these standards, chooses to disconnect, ignoring calls, avoiding conversations, withdrawing from the digital world, it's often read as a sign of disappointment or disappointment from the outside. The missed video call, in particular, symbolizes not just a lapse in communication, but a deeper disconnection that fuels existing doubts about worth and potential. But what if that missed connection was not a sign of failure at all? What if it was, instead, a glimpse into something entirely different, something that challenges the very definition of what it means to succeed? The family's initial reaction to the ignored call is rooted in concern, frustration, and the worry that their loved one is spiraling into misfortune. However, as time unfolds, the story begins to shift. It becomes clear that the person on the other end was not avoiding them out of disdain or neglect, but because they were busy building a life based on entirely different principles that defy societal norms but lead to extraordinary outcomes. In exploring this phenomenon, we are invited to reconsider the binary of success and failure, to look beyond surface appearances, and to recognize how deeply ingrained perceptions can distort reality. The family's journey towards understanding unveils a narrative of resilience, creativity, and redefining worth. The individual at the center of this story had been underestimated, dismissed, and perhaps even mocked for their choices, yet they had secretly cultivated something of tremendous value, something that, once unveiled, would turn their failure into an incredible fortune. It's a story that resonates because it touches on universal themes: the longing for acceptance, the fear of falling short, and the ultimate surprise that often comes from embracing what others dismiss. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that the ignored message was a catalyst for transformation, not just for the individual involved, but for the entire family. It prompts questions about how we judge success, how we perceive failure, and how hidden potential can sometimes be buried beneath layers of misunderstanding. The narrative teases a revelation that challenges conventional wisdom, hinting that the true measure of worth may lie not in outward appearances or societal approval, but in the unseen depths where genuine value often resides. In the end, what starts as a missed call becomes a powerful lesson in perspective, reminding all involved that sometimes what is ignored or overlooked can turn out to be the most valuable discovery of all. Building on this, however, the true marvel lies in how societal labels often distort our perception of value, creating a narrow lens through which achievements are judged. When individuals pursue paths outside conventional expectations, such as rejecting corporate careers or choosing alternative lifestyles, they are frequently dismissed as misguided or unambitious. Yet, sometimes those ostensibly misguided choices lead to innovations, cultural shifts, or financial gains that reshape entire communities. These divergences from the norm reveal how many innovations arose from rebellion against traditional standards, illustrating that what we perceive as failure might be, in reality, an act of deliberate resistance. The person who avoids the spotlight often does so to cultivate a different kind of wealth, one rooted in authenticity, personal growth, or unconventional enterprise that doesn't fit the typical mold, but can ultimately generate substantial influence or resources. Another layer worth examining is the fundamental nature of risk-taking and its perception as a measure of worth. Conventional wisdom equates failure with loss, discouraging experimentation and penalizing setbacks. But in reality, deliberate risk-taking involves embracing uncertainty with the understanding that setbacks are integral to growth. Consider pioneers in technology or art who faced widespread skepticism. Their ventures appeared to be failures from the outside, yet they often laid the groundwork for future success. When someone declines to broadcast their efforts publicly, choosing instead to work quietly behind the scenes, they may be sidestepping superficial validation, but accruing experiences and tacit knowledge that become invaluable over time. Recognizing this shifts the language around failure, emphasizing resilience and learning rather than defeat. It reveals that, in many cases, the true value lies in the process itself, the perseverance, adaptability, and insight gained along the way, often invisible to others until the moment when success finally emerges. Furthermore, there exists a paradox in how societal narratives reinforce superficial metrics of achievement. In the pursuit of social validation, individuals often chase accolades or tangible assets, neglecting intangible qualities such as integrity, originality, or inner peace. The person who missed the call might have opted out of superficial validation to pursue a deeper purpose, perhaps creating art, nurturing personal passions, or fostering community, domains where genuine impact is less visible but no less profound. This detachment from mainstream measures of success can paradoxically position such individuals for opportunities that those fixated solely on outward signs of achievement might overlook. They might develop a unique perspective, a refined skill, or foster connections that don't appear on a balance sheet, but end up being invaluable in unforeseen ways. Now, consider how this perspective applies when you face setbacks in your own life. When things don't unfold according to plan, it's tempting to see this as an indication of inadequacy. Yet, by expanding your understanding of value, recognizing that growth, learning, and authentic expression often occur in unexpected forms, you open the door to new possibilities. The situation that appears to be a failure might be a redirection or a blessing in disguise. It could be an invitation to explore unexplored passions, develop resilience, or cultivate patience. Rather than viewing setbacks as definitive, seeing them as integral chapters in a larger narrative allows for a richer, more nuanced appreciation of success. There is a profound power in recognizing that sometimes the absence of immediate recognition or validation is a sign that you are on a different path, one potentially more meaningful and ultimately more rewarding. This perspective also encourages a shift from external validation to internal fulfillment. The individual who ignored the call might have perceived traditional metrics of success as hollow or disconnected from their true purpose. Instead, they might have been building something that doesn't depend on external approval, but on personal conviction and vision. When society dismisses such pursuits as failures, it overlooks the possibility that genuine wealth can stem from authenticity, innovation, or resilience. In this light, the emphasis on societal approval diminishes as a false standard, replaced with a focus on cultivating inner alignment. The wealth that emerges from authenticity often manifests in unexpected forms: deep relationships, creative breakthroughs, or new ways of understanding the world, each contributing to a richness that external accolades rarely capture. Ultimately, this shift in perspective broadens the definition of success itself, urging us to value diverse journeys and recognize that scarcity and abundance can coexist within the same narrative. What appears as silence or neglect on the surface might conceal a fertile ground for transformation, growth, and unforeseen prosperity. The story of the ignored call reveals that sometimes the most significant breakthroughs come not from loud declarations or visible achievements, but from quiet perseverance and unwavering belief in the unseen potential lying beneath the surface. When we internalize this, we begin to see failures not as endpoints, but as catalysts, delays that build resilience, detours that open new horizons, and moments when the true measure of wealth is revealed in the depths of one's conviction, rather than external recognition. Now consider how this perspective can radically redefine your relationship with setbacks and unexpected delays. Instead of viewing obstacles as signs of inadequacy, see them as signals that your current approach is incomplete, that something more meaningful is unfolding beneath the surface. For instance, imagine planting a seed. Above ground, it may seem dormant or unresponsive for a time, but underground, roots are reaching out, establishing stability and absorbing nutrients. The apparent silence or stillness is actually a vital phase of growth. In the same way, a perceived failure or ignored call might be a period of internal development, preparing you for a future breakthrough that surpasses initial expectations. Recognizing this allows you to approach adversity with curiosity rather than frustration, trusting that unseen efforts are laying the groundwork for future success. Another vital facet of this outlook involves the cultivation of patience as a strategic virtue, rather than a passive waiting game. In a culture that prizes immediate results, patience often gets dismissed as complacency, but its true power lies in fostering resilience and clarity. When you resist rushing toward quick fixes, you create space for deeper insights and more sustainable outcomes. For example, think about artisans who spend years perfecting their craft. Their work is unhurried, rooted in meticulous attention and deliberate practice. Their patience is an act of faith that mastery and abundance will emerge in due time. Applying this mindset to your own pursuits, whether personal or professional, encourages you to invest in the process, understanding that authentic progress often unfolds imperceptibly but steadily. The patience you nurture becomes an anchor that keeps you centered amid uncertainty. Furthermore, this perspective invites a profound shift in how you interpret your emotional responses to perceived failures. Instead of allowing frustration, shame, or self-doubt to dominate, view these feelings as vital messengers offering clues about your internal landscape. Emotions act as navigational signals, guiding you to areas where growth is overdue or where misalignment occurs. A moment of disappointment, for instance, might reveal a desire for greater authenticity, a need to reevaluate your priorities, or an insight into how you interpret external validation. By paying close attention to these emotional cues, you develop a more nuanced self-awareness that fuels growth rather than hampers it. This approach transforms setbacks into opportunities for introspection and refinement, making failure a catalyst for becoming more attuned to your true self. Considering this broader view, you begin to see that true success may often involve the conscious surrender of control. When you relinquish the need to dictate every outcome, you open your life to spontaneous opportunities, serendipitous connections, and unanticipated avenues of growth. It's akin to stepping into a river, knowing that the current will carry you toward your destination, rather than fighting against the flow. This surrender doesn't imply passivity. Rather, it signifies trust in the natural rhythm of life, recognizing that rigidity often obstructs progress. When you stop micromanaging each step, you free up mental and emotional energy to notice subtler cues, which often lead to breakthroughs. Embracing this fluidity requires a deep confidence that, even in apparent chaos, order and abundance are being woven together behind the scenes. Another crucial layer to this mindset involves redefining what it means to be resourceful. Often, people equate resourcefulness with having abundant material assets, but true resourcefulness stems from adaptability, creativity, and a willingness to repurpose what is available. If a missed call or an overlooked opportunity seems insignificant at first glance, it might actually be an invitation to innovate with what you possess, whether that's skills, relationships, or time. Think of a chef improvising with leftovers. From seemingly limited ingredients, they craft a masterpiece. This metaphor illustrates that resourcefulness isn't just about having enough, but about seeing potential in scarcity. When your perspective shifts away from scarcity-driven thinking, you begin to recognize hidden reservoirs of strength and opportunity that others might dismiss as insignificant or irrelevant. This mindset cultivates an entrepreneurial spirit that thrives on transformation and ingenuity. Finally, explore how this approach influences your sense of identity. When you detach from external measurements of worth, you reconnect with the core of who you are beyond societal labels. This detachment cultivates a sense of internal validation rooted in personal integrity and authentic aspiration. It encourages you to redefine success based on your values, passions, and growth, rather than societal expectations or superficial achievements. For example, someone might have once viewed their worth through the lens of career status, but now recognizes it through the quality of their relationships or their contribution to community. This internal recalibration creates a more resilient, expansive self-concept, one that is less susceptible to external fluctuations, but deeply anchored in self-awareness. As a result, setbacks no longer threaten your sense of self. Instead, they become opportunities for deepening your understanding of what genuinely matters. Now, consider how relinquishing control deepens your capacity for acceptance. When you stop clinging to the illusion of mastery over every outcome, a profound shift occurs in your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of viewing unpredictability as a threat, you begin to see it as an essential element of growth, a fertile ground for discovery. It's akin to a gardener surrendering the notion of perfect control over every grain of soil, recognizing instead that true flourishing depends on a willingness to adapt to the fluctuating climate and unexpected pests. This acceptance doesn't signify complacency, but a recognition that rigidity limits potential. By cultivating mental flexibility, you create space for spontaneous opportunities to appear, bursts of inspiration or unexpected alliances that wouldn't have emerged under a tight grip. In this way, surrender becomes an act of strategic liberation, unleashing your natural resilience and creative ingenuity. Building on this, however, involves embracing vulnerability as an inherent aspect of that surrender. When you relinquish the need to micromanage every aspect of your life, you expose yourself to moments of doubt or perceived weakness. Yet, paradoxically, vulnerability becomes a source of strength. It opens the door to authentic connection, because only through genuine openness can you invite honest feedback and support from others. Think of it like a kite soaring higher when the string is loosened. The greater your willingness to be exposed, the more you allow for the wind to lift you, rather than restrict you. This process guides you into a state of humility, where mistakes are seen not as personal failures but as vital feedback. Embracing vulnerability inside this framework bolsters your capacity for resilience, transforming setbacks into vital lessons, and cultivating an internal landscape resilient enough to absorb shocks without breaking. Furthermore, this attitude challenges the traditional narrative that equates strength with control or rigidity. Instead, true strength often manifests in adaptability, an ability to pivot swiftly in response to shifting circumstances. Recognizing this shifts your focus from resistance to flow, fostering agility in both thought and action. Imagine an expert surfer reading the ocean's constant ebbs and flows. Their skill lies in their capacity to move with the waves rather than against them. Similarly, cultivating mental agility helps you to navigate unpredictable terrains, whether in relationships, careers, or personal pursuits. Techniques such as mindfulness or strategic reflection can serve as anchors, empowering you to remain centered even when external conditions seem turbulent. When you internalize this approach, your confidence stems not from holding tightly to specific plans, but from trusting in your capacity to adapt and thrive amid change. Now, consider how this idea applies in the context of failure or rejection. Instead of perceiving these as definitive marks of inadequacy, see them as catalysts shaping your evolution. If you're faced with rejection, recognize it as a prompt to refine your approach or discover new pathways, all of which contribute to a deeper understanding of your purpose. It's similar to an artist who, after multiple failed sketches, begins to see the nuances that lead to mastery. Each rejection or setback offers an invaluable lesson, if you can detach from emotional attachment and view them through a lens of growth. By doing so, the fear of failure diminishes, replaced by curiosity about what possibilities lie beyond the immediate disappointment. This mindset transforms obstacles from barriers into stepping stones, each one offering a chance to hone your skills and expand your perspective. Another dimension of relinquishing control involves trusting the natural rhythm of cycles, whether in nature, relationships, or personal development. Recognizing that everything evolves in phases allows you to fine-tune your expectations, reducing frustration when progress seems slow or non-linear. For instance, think about the seasons. Winter's dormancy eventually gives way to spring's renewal, often after periods of apparent stagnation. Applying this to your pursuits encourages patience and faith in cyclical patterns of growth. You begin to appreciate that setbacks aren't final but transitions, necessary for the next stage of expansion. This perspective cultivates resilience and fosters a sense of internal harmony, enabling you to flow with life's ebbs and flows rather than resist them. It redefines success as the ability to stay present and adaptable, trusting that the natural order will unfold in its own time. Finally, extending this notion to your sense of identity reveals that true power does not stem from static self-images, but from fluid self-awareness. Letting go of fixed labels or societal expectations allows your evolving nature to come into full bloom. Imagine a river that continually reshapes its banks, carving new pathways as it flows. When you detach from rigid self-concepts, you open yourself to new possibilities, perspectives, and growth. This ongoing process fosters a sense of internal liberation, where the fear of losing your identity is replaced with curiosity about your limitless potential. Hence, surrendering control becomes an act of self-empowerment rooted in trust. Trust that your authentic self will emerge more vibrant and resilient each time you release the false need to tightly hold on to who you think you are. This ongoing evolution becomes the foundation for a life marked less by fear of failure and more by openness to continuous transformation. Now, consider how embracing the unpredictability of life allows you to cultivate a different form of mastery, one rooted in surrender rather than control. This mastery isn't about micromanaging every detail, but about developing an intuitive sense of timing and adaptability. Imagine a jazz musician improvising during a live performance. They rely on their ear, their instincts, and their understanding of harmony rather than rigid sheet music. Their ability to listen deeply to the evolving rhythm gives them the freedom to innovate spontaneously, transforming potential chaos into beauty. Similarly, in life, attuning yourself to the subtle cues around you, such as shifted priorities, unspoken needs, or fleeting opportunities, becomes a form of mastery that transcends planning. Recognizing when to push forward and when to step back requires a finely developed sense of timing, which can only be cultivated through openness and attentiveness. It's an ongoing dialogue with the unknown, where trust in yourself and the environment guides your actions with precision, born from flexibility. Building on this, however, involves developing a keen awareness of the stories you tell yourself about failure and success. The narratives we internalize can either limit or liberate us. When you see setbacks as personal shortcomings, you inadvertently reinforce a fixed perspective of self-worth tied to external validation. But if you examine the stories you've adopted, ones that label certain experiences as failures, you're empowered to rewrite them. For instance, reframing a missed opportunity as a redirection opens up new avenues that weren't initially visible. This mental exercise is akin to editing a film. By removing the scenes that cast a negative light and emphasizing those of growth and discovery, you craft a new storyline, one centered on resilience and discovery. The more intentional you are about the stories you choose to accept, the more fluid your sense of identity becomes, fostering a mindset where setbacks become integral chapters in your evolving narrative, rather than defining moments of defeat. Furthermore, the act of surrendering control enhances your capacity for sustained patience, which is essential for deep growth. Patience is often misunderstood as passive endurance. However, it is an active stance rooted in trust and persistent presence. When you stop rushing to achieve immediate results, you create fertile ground for insights to emerge naturally. Much like a tree that grows slowly, anchoring itself and strengthening its roots over years before blossoming fully, your personal development benefits from a long-term perspective. Patience in this context becomes a strategic tool. It allows you to conserve energy, observe patterns, and respond with wisdom rather than impulsiveness. This deliberate pause creates a buffer against the whirlwind of external distractions and internal doubts. Over time, patience cultivates a resilience that doesn't crumble under pressure, but instead deepens your capacity to withstand fluctuations and adversity, transforming temporary setbacks into stepping stones of endurance. Another crucial layer lies in recognizing that surrender involves relinquishing the need for immediate affirmation. The drive for instant recognition, the rush of likes, comments, or external praise, can distort your understanding of value. When you become overly dependent on external validation, your actions are driven more by miedo to be unseen or unrecognized than by genuine passion or conviction. Conversely, choosing to act in alignment with your authentic interests, regardless of immediate social reward, cultivates inner sovereignty. Think of a lighthouse. It shines not because it seeks recognition, but because it fulfills its purpose, guiding ships safely despite the silence it endures. In the same vein, when you focus on doing meaningful work quietly, without the need for external acknowledgement, you strengthen your internal compass. The reward becomes intrinsic, a sense of fulfillment that sustains your efforts far beyond fleeting applause. This approach nurtures confidence rooted in self-trust rather than external approval, making resilience more sustainable. Now consider how surrendering control can uncover opportunities that are invisible when you're fixated on a fixed outcome. When your attention is narrowly focused on a specific goal, you may overlook the myriad pathways leading there. When you loosen this grip, however, you open a wider aperture for discovery. Picture a traveler who expects to arrive at a destination through a predetermined route, only to realize that the road less traveled offers unforeseen vistas and connections. By embracing the detours and allowing your journey to unfold in unexpected ways, you become more receptive to serendipity. This openness often leads to creative solutions, partnerships, or ideas that wouldn't have emerged within the confines of a rigid plan. Flexibility like this requires an internal discipline, trusting that detours are not setbacks, but vital parts of the process. Cultivating this perception transforms life's unpredictability into fertile ground for innovation and growth, enriching your experience with layers of complexity that static plans can never capture. Lastly, acknowledging that surrender entails a continual process of recalibration shifts your focus from rigid goalposts to evolving states of being. Instead of obsessing over reaching fixed milestones, you develop an awareness of your internal rhythms, your energy levels, enthusiasm, and clarity. This awareness informs how you allocate your effort, emphasizing quality over quantity. For example, rather than pushing tirelessly toward a specific target, you learn to recognize when your enthusiasm wanes and honor those signals by pausing or shifting direction. This ongoing self-adjustment creates a dynamic flow, where your actions remain aligned with your authentic desires and circumstances. It's analogous to a river carving a new path when obstacles appear, adapting seamlessly rather than resisting. By embracing this fluidity, you free yourself from the trap of perpetual striving, making success less about external accomplishments and more about continuous alignment with your core principles. This internal recalibration cultivates resilience that's rooted not in stubborn persistence, but in compassionate responsiveness to life's evolving landscape. Drawing these strands together, we see a tapestry woven from the subtle interplay of surrender, perception, and intention, each thread reinforcing and transforming the other into a more expansive understanding of growth and resilience. The journey has illuminated how relinquishing the illusion of control can serve as a doorway into a deeper harmony with life's natural rhythms, an acknowledgement that the most profound development often occurs not in the frantic pursuit of goals, but within the quiet acceptance of that which is beyond immediate grasp. This shift in perspective invites us to reconsider the very nature of success, recognizing it as an evolving state rooted less in external validation and more in internal coherence. The underlying message suggests that genuine power arises when we step back from the relentless urge to dominate outcomes and instead move in tandem with the unfolding process, similar to a river finding its own course, carving through obstacles with gentle persistence rather than force. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer. It is less about imposing our will upon life and more about cultivating a vigilant receptivity to its subtle cues. We begin to appreciate that the moments seemingly slipping away, or the setbacks that appear as failures, are often the universe's way of rerouting us toward deeper layers of insight or unseen opportunities. As we let go of our rigid expectations, we open ourselves to a richer, more nuanced experience, one that recognizes the potential hidden within uncertainty and the possibilities that emerge when we refuse to confine ourselves within narrow definitions of achievement. This understanding shifts our focus from controlling outcomes to nurturing a resilient internal landscape, where adaptability and patience serve as guiding principles. It becomes apparent that true strength lies in our ability to remain centered amid the flux, trusting that the currents of life will carry us toward growth if we learn how to navigate with grace rather than resistance. Reflecting on this journey so far, the overarching theme begins to crystallize. It is the delicate art of balancing intentionality with surrender, an act of mindful openness that provides a fertile ground for transformation. When we relinquish the need to dictate every step, we create space for spontaneity and serendipity to intertwine with our efforts, leading to a more authentic realization of our potential. This balance invites a perspective that sees setbacks not as final verdicts, but as necessary chapters within a larger narrative of evolution. Like an artist who step by step uncovers new shades and textures, we are called to trust the process, even when clarity appears elusive, knowing that each experience, whether within our comfort zone or outside it, contributes to the overall masterpiece of our growth. As these ideas converge, they reveal the importance of cultivating an internal environment capable of holding paradox, the coexistence of uncertainty and confidence, of vulnerability and strength. Such internal alchemy becomes our most valuable resource, empowering us to face life's unpredictable currents with resilience and grace. We are reminded that the act of surrender is not a passive resignation, but an active engagement, a conscious choice to align ourselves with the natural flow rather than oppose it. This realization paves the way for a more expansive understanding of abundance, one that encompasses not only material wealth, but also the richness of being fully present and attuned to the subtle shifts that shape our journey. In embracing this perspective, we are invited to approach life as an ongoing dance of adaptation, trusting that in surrendering control, we gain access to a wellspring of resilience and insight that guides us beyond the illusion of limitation.